They thought it was the rear suspension. They thought it was the beam wing. They were all wrong. Adrian Newey just proved everyone was looking in the wrong place. Because while the F1 world obsessed over floor shapes and diffuser hacks, he built something else. Something silent. Something legal. And something nobody noticed until now. The secret? It was never at the back of the AMR26. It was hidden up front. And the data from Barcelona confirms it. This single concept could change how Formula 1 cars generate cornering grip forever. It's not a flexi wing. It's not a moving part. But it might be the smartest thing Newey has ever done. And if the FIA allows it, this could flip the grid upside down. Let me show you what really happened. Everyone came into Barcelona with the same instinct. Look at the back of the car. That's where the tricks usually are. That's where Newey has burned rivals before. So the cameras zoomed in on the rear suspension, the compact gearbox, the aggressive beam wing zone. Engineers whispered. Fans paused screenshots. Analysts drew arrows on blurry photos. And Adrian Newey let them. Because the AMR26 was designed to distract you. What you saw on track looked unfinished, unstable, almost nervous. Alonso fought the wheel. Small corrections. A car that didn't look planted. But that's exactly where the illusion begins. Because while the car looked busy, the front end was doing something very few people expected. The steering input didn't match the response. The rotation mid-corner was too clean, too controlled, especially at low speed. That should not happen on a brand new car. Not under conservative engine modes. Not with limited running. Yet lap after lap, the AMR26 rotated early, held the apex, and released grip in a way the data could not ignore. And here's the part almost everyone missed. Aston Martin wasn't losing rear grip. They were gaining front authority. The car wasn't unstable. It was being allowed to rotate on purpose. That changes everything. Because in the new regulations, front-end control is harder than raw downforce. Harder than straight-line speed. And Newey knows this better than anyone. While other teams chased balance at the rear, he attacked the problem from the opposite direction. Not with a visible wing. Not with an obvious aero surface. But with how load is accepted and transferred before the corner even begins. That's why the AMR26 looks strange on camera and calm in the numbers. And that's why Barcelona didn't tell the full story. Because the real innovation wasn't meant to be seen yet. It was meant to be felt. And once you understand what Newey changed at the front of this car, you'll realize why everyone was watching the wrong part all along. At first glance, the front of the AMR26 looks standard. Nothing extreme. No oversized winglets. No strange angles. But that's the trap. Because hidden in plain sight is a system that changes how the car enters a corner. It's not about raw grip. It's about how the car prepares to use grip. Most cars in testing struggled with turn-in, especially under heavier fuel loads. Delayed rotation. Scrubbing the front tires. But not Aston Martin. Even when the balance looked off from the outside, the car's direction change was crisp. Like it already knew where it wanted to go. That's not a driver feeling. That's a mechanical signal. A preloaded response. And that's what caught the FIA's attention. Because data from day 3 revealed something strange. The AMR26 was achieving corner entry rotation without relying on tire temperature, or steering input, or brake migration. It was something else. A passive shift in geometry, happening only under lateral load. No moving parts. Nothing electronic. Fully legal. But incredibly effective. This system, designed by Newey and refined in secret, allows the front end to settle into the ideal angle before the steering wheel finishes the input, which means the car begins rotating earlier than expected, without destabilizing the rear. That's not just clever. That's disruptive. Because every other team was trying to stabilize the car mid-corner. Aston Martin? They stabilized it before the corner even started. That saves milliseconds. Over a lap, it's tenths. Over a race, it's position. And no one saw it coming. Because no one thought to look for a front-end system that behaves like rear-wheel steering, without actually steering the rear. But that's what makes this so dangerous. It's legal. It's passive. And it works. And now, the other teams are scrambling to understand it. But Newey has a head start. And Pirelli's tire data confirms. No car in Barcelona managed more consistent front lateral load than the AMR26. Not Red Bull. Not Mercedes. Not even McLaren. This isn't speculation. This is foundation. And the rest of the grid? They're already a step behind. For nearly 2 decades, Adrian Newey was untouchable. Everything he designed wore Red Bull colors. Every innovation, every loophole, every hidden edge, benefited the same team. Until now. This year, something changed. Newey left quietly. No press storm. No dramatic farewell. Just a shift. And suddenly, he's wearing green. The AMR26 is the first car in nearly 20 years that carries Newey's fingerprint without carrying the Red Bull badge. And it shows. But here's what makes this more than just a team change. It's the philosophy that changed. Red Bull's strength has always been rear dominance. Stable under power. Unmatched on corner exit. Aston Martin? They're building the opposite. A car that rotates early, finds balance on the front, and unlocks grip before the driver even asks for it. That's not just clever. It's a warning shot. Because this car isn't trying to copy Red Bull. It's trying to beat it. At its weakest point. Red Bull's Achilles heel in the last 2 seasons hasn't been speed. It's been unpredictability on slower circuits. Hairpins. Tight chicanes. Tracks like Monaco. Hungary. Singapore. And what does the AMR26 specialize in? Mid-corner grip. Tight radius rotation. Front-loaded aero stability. It's not just a design. It's a direct counterattack. And Red Bull didn't see it coming. Because when Aston Martin showed up in Barcelona, they looked broken. Early retirements. No long runs. Top speed below midfield average. They looked like a team on the back foot. But that was the bluff. Because in those short stints, the car revealed just enough to prove it had something deeper. Not in the numbers. Not in the press releases. But in the behavior. How it moved. How it recovered. How Alonso pushed deeper with every lap. Despite being off the pace. Red Bull's data engineers weren't focused on that. They were watching long runs. Fuel loads. Cooling packages. Drag coefficients. They missed the one thing Newey designed to be invisible. The way this car initiates movement. That mistake may cost them. Because once this system is unlocked, copying it mid-season becomes nearly impossible. It's not a bolt-on. It's not an upgrade. It's structural. It's foundational. It's Aston Martin's now. And Red Bull? They'll have to fight it from behind. This is not a standard driver. Not anymore. Fernando Alonso is 24 seasons deep. He's raced through 6 regulation eras. He's survived team collapses, political wars, and double DNFs. And he's still here. Still evolving. But here's the truth most people overlook. Alonso isn't just a driver. He's a system activator. Because this front-end concept? This passive aerogeometry at the nose of the AMR26? It only works when triggered the right way. And that trigger? Is input timing. It's how and when you apply the brakes. How you load the front tires. How long you delay steering angle. Just enough to allow the car to rotate on its own. Too soon, and it kills the effect. Too late, and the rotation becomes unstable. Only one driver in the current grid has the muscle memory. And the instinct. To push this concept at speed. Without overdriving it. That's Alonso. And Aston Martin knows it. That's why they didn't waste the system on day 1. That's why they ran minimal laps on day 2. Because they needed Alonso fresh for day 3. Not to chase headlines. Not to run long. But to validate the concept. To feel the exact moment the car gives in. And then use it. Here's what most people missed. On his final outing in Barcelona, Alonso wasn't chasing lap time. He was exploring the threshold. You can see it in the telemetry. Micro-corrections in Sector 2. Neutral throttle application mid-apex. Rear tracking perfectly under front rotation. He wasn't just driving. He was unlocking. Because this system doesn't show up in lap times at first. It shows up in driver confidence. Corner after corner. Lap after lap. Until the car stops fighting you. And starts working with you. That's what Alonso was doing. And by the final stint, he was pushing entry speeds nobody else dared touch. Even though the car was technically underpowered. And when he stepped out of the cockpit, he didn't say much. But his face said everything. Not joy. Not frustration. Something else. Satisfaction. Like a man who knows something the others don't. Not yet. Not until Bahrain. And by then, it might be too late to react. Normally, when a team finds a loophole, the FIA closes it. Quickly. Quietly. With a directive? Or a clarification? Or a ban? We've seen it before. The double diffuser. The F-duct. The DAS system. Even Red Bull's FlexiFloor. Once the advantage becomes too big, the governing body steps in. But this time? They can't. Because what Newey designed for the AMR26 doesn't violate a single rule. It's not active. It's not electronic. It doesn't rely on sensors, switches, or hydraulic triggers. It's structural. It's mechanical. It's passive. And it's invisible on paper. That's the genius of it. The system doesn't need to move. It doesn't need to change shape. It only needs to exist. And under lateral load, when the car enters a corner, the geometry naturally channels force into the exact point of rotation. No flex. No actuation. Just precision engineering. So how do you ban that? You can't. Not without rewriting the rulebook. Not without opening a dozen other loopholes in the process. Because if you ban what Aston Martin did, you risk banning half the grid's current suspension designs. And that means the FIA is trapped. Their only option now is interpretation. But interpretation is slow. It takes time. It takes consensus. And it takes proof. And right now, there's nothing to protest. No clear footage. No breach of regulation. Only results. Only behavior. And the data, so far, is protected inside Aston Martin servers. Which means, for now, this system is legal. And unless someone replicates it, or breaks it, or exposes a flaw, it's going to stay legal. That gives Aston Martin something they haven't had in years. Time. Time to refine. Time to test. Time to build the entire first half of the season around a system no one else can use. And if it works in Bahrain, if it delivers in race conditions, then this won't just be an innovation. It'll be a turning point. Not just for Aston Martin, but for the future of car design in Formula One. Testing is one thing, but race day is something else. Clean laps. No traffic. No full fuel loads. No tire degradation. No strategy stress. Barcelona gave us a glimpse, but Bahrain will show us everything. 20 cars. At full pace. In high temperatures. With real consequences. And here's the danger no one wants to talk about. If the AMR26 performs under pressure, if Alonso can replicate the rotation and grip we saw in testing, then it means this system doesn't just work in theory. It works when it matters. And if that happens, other teams are in serious trouble. Because they won't have time to copy it. Not mid-season. Not without sacrificing upgrade schedules. Not without risking reliability. A system like this can't be bolted on. It has to be built into the foundation of the car. It requires geometry, chassis balance, load redistribution, things you design months in advance. And that means Aston Martin would be the only team running this system for the first half of the calendar. Track after track, corner after corner, lap after lap. They'd hold an edge no one can match. Not with horsepower, not with aero, not with strategy. Because this isn't about speed. It's about control. And in modern Formula One, control is everything. Control lets you protect your tires, manage your stints, defend position, attack under DRS, stay off the curbs, avoid mistakes. Control turns a fast car into a winning one. And Alonso knows exactly how to use it. That's what Bahrain represents. Not just the first race of the season, but the first real test of a concept that could break the midfield. Or break the sport's balance. Because if a customer team, with a Mercedes engine and a radical front-end system, starts beating Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes outright, then every blueprint across the grid gets questioned. Every upgrade package gets delayed. Every simulator run gets invalidated. And every assumption about who's fighting for the title gets rewritten overnight. That's what Newey built. Not a car. A question mark. And Bahrain will deliver the answer.